Good morning, friends. We are learning our subject Python for Data Science 3150713. In that, we are learning module 1, that is Python for Data, Python and Data Structure. Okay, fine. So now, in the previous lecture, we have started with the files, right? Files IO we have started in the previous lecture, and the last example we have seen where we have read the content of the file and stored inside the list, right? Recall the thing. Now, next thing what we want to learn is the seek operation. Seek is to seek for a particular content. No, it is not so. We can provide the position, right? We can provide the position. Till that point, our file pointer will move, right? Or file handle will move. So what is the thing? File dot, that is file object dot say position and reference. This is for two things we have to provide. Modify the file object for the file so that the next read will be from whatever is the next position, right? So let us see, the code is given here. The file if like this, that is first line, second line, third line, fourth line, fifth line. Now for seek operation, what do we say? F is equal to open seq1.txt and R. This is not seek operation, okay? This is just opening the file, okay? App.seek, oh, that means what? The file handle, or you can say file pointer, should reach to fifth location in the file, right? So after that, if we do for line in F, print line and is equal to nothing, right? If we do like this, after that we close the file. For that we are getting the line, that is T line. What do we mean by that? Here we can say F, I, R, S. They are four characters, right? F, I, R, S. They are four characters, and fifth one is the T, right? Okay, so here what we have done is app.seek4, that means four characters it has read. Now it will go to the fifth character, right? So when we print it, we will be able to get it from T, right? We'll be able to get it from T, okay? So let us see that. Now today I'll show you that using the Jupyter notebook, okay? With Anaconda you may have installed on your system, right? So now this is the file, right? That is there in Jupyter notebook. That also runs in the browser only. Fine. Now here say the logo of our trust, logo of our college, then this text I have written. Now this is called the markdown cell. There we were having what? Text cell and code cell. Here we are having that only, but code cell is said as code and markdown cell is called as mark. That means text, right? That is text. So this is our text cell, right? This is our text cell. That is markdown cell. Okay. Here also the cells are there as we were having in our Google Collaboratory. Google Collaboratory I have used so that if you people are not having say laptop with say very good capacity to install Anaconda or any other high software, then too you can use Python with all available modules because they are available with the Collaboratory, right? And in that you can install also, that is online only it is being installed and online only it is being used, right? So that is why we have started with that. We can do with the Jupyter notebook. If you are having the locally installed Jupyter notebook, you can use that, right? And the things yeah, here, whatever are available here, they are similar what we have already seen with collaborative, right? They are similar. You can say this is save, this is what is insert cell below, this is cut, this is copy, this is paste. Then you can say move cells up down. This is run. This is stop. That is interrupt the kernel, right? This is restart the kernel. This is what is restart the kernel and then rerun the whole notebook, right? So if you want to run a particular cell, we can run this, or otherwise, if you want that all the cells should be run, we could be using this run on, right? So whichever cell you want to run, that is below cell, or you can say that run cells and insert below, or run cells, whatever you want, you can do for running the cells. For inserting, insert cell above, insert cell below, then you can say beam, right? For line numbers, if you want to see the line numbers, yeah, now we are able to see, right, line numbers. Line numbers we are able to see, right? 1, 2. In the code cell, we are able to see the line numbers, right? Okay. So now, whatever is required for Jupyter notebook to know, that's what we have learned. Let us now go to our code, that is for C. Okay. I have shown you the code where we were having this content. Okay, now what are the contents of the sequence.txt just now? What we are having, let me show you this Jupyter notebook first screen. Where is sequence.txt, right? So hello and welcome to the world of computers is the first line. Welcome to the world of Python for data science is the second line, and world is beautiful with cloud. This is the third line. Okay, it is that in the sequence.txt file. Okay. Now let us run that. Let me say that here it is not this and this content. You'll be able to see that, right? Otherwise, I don't have any issue. You can have any content, whatever you want, right? Now this, will I be able to run this? No, it says it is error. Oh, this is totally wrong, isn't it? Why is it giving us error? It is because hello and welcome to the world of computers is not the code in the Python. So what should we do is we should use it as markdown cell, right? So it is text, right? If you run this cell, it will show you the text here, right? Okay. So keep that thing in your mind. Now f is equal to open sequence.txt. Okay. So what are the contents of the file? Can you see that? No, we cannot. This is what you can see. Is this way, right? Let me put it this way. Oh, no. Full point is not there. By mistake, I have added. Let me put this. Got it this way? Something like this are the contents of the file, right? Okay, now, or otherwise, yes, one more thing is, if you want to show the text properly, you can be using it as BR tag. HTML tags you can use. Okay, so I do not have to put this extra space. I can put it as BR tag this way, fine. So we'll be able to see the content of the file properly, isn't it? Okay. Now, any HTML tag you can use the way you are using for your HTMLs here, right? And that is why people are now using Jupyter notebook files as the presentation file also, right? The code is also there and the presentation is also there inside the same file. Okay, see one thing, one problem is that when we are working with Jupyter notebook and collaboratory, just now that error was that string is not found or string is not proper, something like that error comes in. You can ignore that. There is no issue. Otherwise, the same file you can use for Jupyter Notebook and Collaboratory. Same file you can copy. There is no issue, right? It will run fine. So the same file I have downloaded and I am showing you. So let me run this. I have run this. What it is giving me? SQL. This one, right? So here it is giving us "Oh and welcome to the world of computers," right? When it runs here, let me show you. It goes to the next cell, right? It goes to the next cell because it shows us the output here. Typically, what we used to think is the code should also be there in front of us and the output also should be there in front of us. But what it does, that this cell you have run, now you are able to see the output and it will take you to the place where you can see the next cell also, right? So do not think that we have run this cell, we have run the above cell, right? And the output we are able to see is "Oh and welcome." What does that mean? O-H-E-L-L-O, hello. Okay, so from this it is showing us the output. Why? Because SIG4 is there, so it skips the 4 characters. Actually not skip, we can say that it is putting the pointer to the 5th location, right? So after that, whatever it is reading, yeah, this error we can find it. That is the save operation succeeded, but the notebook does not appear to build appear to be valid. The validation error was this, right? The IPYNB file I have downloaded from the Google Collaboratory, right? Same thing is there. It will not give you any problem in running. Okay. So let us see, the next operation is the append operation. So say fo is equal to open seq1.txt. Why are we opening it again? Because we have closed it for the seq operation, right? If it is in the same program, you can say that you will append and read and whatever things are there, right? But here we are having different code segments, right? So we can say here we will be opening the file and after we can say fo.write, so we will be able to write to the file, right? Why write to the file? We are writing, but it is there in the append. Then after fo.close, so we want to write hello where at the end of the file. Append means at the end of the file, right? So if we run this, what we will get? How to know what is there in the file? You have to check it out, this file. Let me close that. Now let me open this file. Can we see the hello is being added? At the end of the file, we were having the content till flowers only. But now we are having the content that is hello, right, in this file. So next topic which we want to learn is exceptions. Even if a statement or expression is syntactically correct, it may cause an error when attempt is made to execute. Errors detected during execution are called exceptions and are not unconditionally fatal. Fatal error is not there, but still you can say syntactically also correct. Still it is giving you error, right? When we are trying to execute it. As for example, if we are having 10 by 0, it causes the 0 division error. It causes the 0 division error. Exceptions come in different types and the type is printed as part of the message. The types in the example are 0 division error, name error and type error, right? See, many other types of errors, that is exceptions, are there in Python. These are few examples I have told you. Now say simple exception handling. What happens when the error comes? It simply stops the program, right? It simply stops the program. Now can we deal with that error? What sort of dealing we can do. For example, suppose say 5 by 0 is giving us the zero division error. Then what we can do is, in dealing with the exception, we can take the input from the user. Error was there, but we do not want to break the program. That is, we do not want to terminate the program, but we want to take the input from the user that will be valid input, right? So let me show you that example. Say while true, try, right? For handling or dealing with the exception in Python, we are using the try and except. Try and except, how we are using is try colon. Then after the code which can generate the exception, that will be there inside the try. Thereafter we can say except is there. Then what you can say is value error, right? Value error. And break is that, right? And what is that? Print. That is the action which we want to have. For what error we want to have such action? That is returned with the except value error. When the value error is there, at that time you can say that the error is there, right? We have just printed that. We are not dealing with it. That is, we are not taking anything from that. What does it mean? Is this for try and accept? This break is for try and accept? Obviously not, isn't it? This break is that it is because of we want to have break out of the loop, right? We want to have the break out of the loop, and for that what we are doing is, say this is the input, right? If it is proper input, then you can say it will not go to accept, but it will go to next line, that is break, and it will come out of the loop. So what does this program mean is, till the time you are giving the proper input, it will take the input from you. You should give the proper input, then only it will stop. Otherwise, it will take input from you. Okay, let me show you that. Yeah, here it is, right? We want to have the integer input. But if I am giving wrong input, then what happens? Please enter a number, okay? I am giving it as 5.5. It says, oops, that was not valid number, try again. So I again have to give the number. Let me give it as 10.0. Again says, oops, that was not valid number, try again. Now if I am giving it as 10, it's fine, right? Why? Because this is the integer number we have given. So this statement runs fine. It does not create any exception. And after that, it will be having break statement. So it will come out of the loop. Otherwise, it doesn't go to this statement, but it goes inside the except statement. That is accept value error. And then it prints this particular thing. And then again go to this while loop, right? So this is a simple thing to deal with the exceptions. Now say keyboard interrupt is that, and what we are doing is we are raising the interrupt. We are raising the interrupt, or you can say we are raising the exception. See, typically what we do is we deal with the exception. Otherwise, for user-defined exceptions, typically we use the raise exception. User-defined exception you can have, but if you do not have time to, for generating any exception, we are using the raise exception, right? So that is also inside the try. So try, then raise keyboard interrupt. Okay, and then you can say finally print goodbye word. See, so for writing the print goodbye we have done no. Finally is where whether exception occurs or not, the statement inside finally will be executed. Okay, statement inside finally will be executed, irrespective of whether the exception has generated or not. Right? So run. Error is there. Finally, whatever is there is being printed here. And then after it is saying that the keyboard interrupt, right? Keyboard interrupt, because we have raised that, okay? We have raised that. It is nothing like it is being generated because of some wrong input or anything like that. But you can say that we have raised the input, right? We have raised the keyboard interrupt, okay? Now,
हेलो
what happens?
मैम
बोलो बेटा।
मैम हम लोग फाइनली लिखते हैं ना तो
हाँ
हेलो मैम मैम हम
बोलो
लोग
बोलो।
फाइनली के अंदर जो भी लिखते हैं वो एज इट इज प्रिंट हो जाता है
क्या होता है?
एज इट इज प्रिंट हो जाता है
Yes.
सिंपली
Print,
तो मैम
print
हम लोग को
मतलब
लिखने की
see
जरूरत
here, listen to me. Here we are writing only print statement. You can say whatever code you do over there. If you are doing say summation or subtraction, or you are writing the file or reading the file, or whatsoever thing you have written there, those will be executed. Actually, finally is useful for closing the particular resources. If exception has occurred or not occurred, we want to close the resources like files or databases. Okay, got the point? For see the what I can say is the files or database like resources should be closed as soon as their work is over. As soon as their work, or you can say their use is over. Okay, their use is over, we should close them. Why? Because then only we can have the concurrency. These are said as the system resources, that is files and databases. They should be closed as soon as their work is over, for increasing the concurrency of files and databases. So for that, what we used to do is, we are having the finally, right? Finally is where whether the exception has occurred or not, it will be called. So typically here, this is only the example, that is we have written print goodbye, but the actual use of finally is to close a particular resource. If you have opened the file and if some problem occurred in writing that file, so what will happen? That file will remain open. So others will not be able to use that particular file. Okay, so what we do is, irrespective of whether the exception has occurred or not, we will close that file inside this finally. Okay, so file will be closed and that will be available to other processes for reading or writing or whatsoever, and we can say that will be able to have concurrency of that particular file use, right? Okay, so now let us see the next one. Here see we have generated the exception. What I mean to say is, here we have generated the exception. Still the finally code is being executed. That is the whether the exception has generated or not, code inside the finally will be executed. That is what is the important of finally. Okay. So, coding the try if raises exception is being handled by the except block, that is try and except syntax. The try statement has another optional clause which is intended to define cleanup actions that must be executed after all the circumstances. That is finally block, and that is try finally syntax. So how we can have that? That is this one, try raise and final. See, raise is not necessarily be there in each and every program. This is just where we want to generate the keyboard interrupt, right? We want to generate the keyboard interrupt. That's why we are doing it. And whether the exception has occurred or not, code inside the finally will be called. Fine. So let us say we are having a file which is in the directory where it is not writable. In Linux, you must be knowing that the directories are not writable, and that we can set by the changing the permission of it, right? Using the change mode. Let us say that we are opening the file that is target.txt in write mode. Now what happens that if the directory is not writable, IO error exception will be there. So what we do is, see, till now whatever file program we have seen, in that we haven't handled this exception. If we are doing the arithmetic operation, that too we haven't seen the error exception, like zero division error is there or any other. We haven't tried for that because we were first learning the basics of it. Now we have reached to the point where we will be handling the exceptions. Okay, so for that we can say we have to write the code inside try which can generate the exception. Okay, which can generate the exception. So W is equal to open target.txt and W if the file is not available. Then no, if W is there, then if the file is not available, it will create the file. So then what is the problem? If the directory inside which we are trying to write this file, if it is not writable to us, then it will give us the error, that is IO error, and that is runtime error only. It is not compile time error. You can say, but Python is interpreted only. It is nothing like compile, right? So we cannot expect error at the compile time, right? This is runtime error and when the execution is done, right? Okay, so IO error happens, and you can say that we can deal with that. That is, you may change the permission here and then after you are using, that is also fine. But here we have only used it as a print and not write to the target file, right? Else, w.write success and print can write in directory and w.close. What we do in this particular program is we are opening the file. So that can generate the exception. So we have returned the code inside try. Thereafter we are handling the exception, that is using except and IO error. Then if it is there, we'll give the notification that print cannot write to the target file. Else, if it is not there, that means exception is not generated, then we can have w.write success, right? W.write success and print can write in the directory, right? W.close. Okay, so here is the same code. Let me have the run with that. Cannot write to the target file. It has given us the error because what? It is having the error, right? What sort of error is that? Name error by W is not defined. We are trying to close it, right? We are trying to close it where this is not opened at all, right? It is not opened at all. The error was there at that point only. And if you are trying to close it, it will definitely give us the error, right? So what should we do? If we close it here, cannot write to the target file, right? Has it run it properly or not? Yeah. Now it says indentation error. Wait a moment. Yeah. One more thing is in Jupyter Notebook, you are able to see say something like this, two tabs are given you, right? And if I just put the space and put the code here, that is below the print and two, it is creating the problem like indentation error. So better you take it properly and then after do it. Let me try. If it is still giving the error, we can copy this and put it here. Right? It is not arrow made by us. It is by the editor. Okay. Now it is fine. It is giving us cannot write to the target file. Right? It's better that it has came and I could show you. Right? This way it shows the tabs. But if you are really giving it a space, then it doesn't consider. So we have to copy these two arrows. Right? These are not the arrows which are being made through this dash 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 or anything like that. It is the tab indication of the editor, right? It is the tab indication of the editor. Now we want to combine this try, except, else, and finally all the things we want to include in one file and want to learn them. Try is where we are writing the code which can generate the exception. Except is the code where we deal with the exception. That is what we can say is, with the except you have to write the exception which is being dealt with, right? Then after you can say that few more exceptions also if you want to deal with, you can write them, right? In the way it is being written, that way only it will be handled. Those will be dealt with, right? Then after you can say that multiple exceptions you have dealt with, then you can say it is else. It is else, right? So if no exception is there, then what to do? Then let us say in this program, very simple thing what we have done is we are printing that result is result, right? Because all the things will be run fine, okay? Now, we can say after all these things is done, we can say we want to have finally program is finished, right? So this is a simple application where we can have try, except, else, and finally. Finally, inside that we are writing the code that is being executed irrespective of the exception has occurred or no. Fine. So let me run this. X is the input it is taking, and typically we are converting it to integer. I would not like to have it as integer. Let me give it as set 5.7. Bad number input. Where have we returned that? Here in the value error, we have returned it as bad number input, right? So it has given the exception, and then after it has given us the program finished. Where we have written program finished, that we have returned inside the finally, right? Inside the finally. So irrespective of whether the exception has occurred or not, the statement inside finally will be executed. Okay. Say special cases where you can say try, except, else, finally, right? Now what happens? Try. So hello we are able to get. Should we able to get by? No, it is not there, because except what type of exception we want to consider or anything like that. I mean, in general, the exception is there. We want to say that when the exception is available, at that time it will be there inside the except. It is not this one, like this is zero, a division error or something like this. That is the specific exception, isn't it? When we are writing it as except, it means that it is general. Any exception can be there, right? So if you do not know any exception, you can write it as the except. Okay. There we have written by. Okay. But will we be able to see that? No, we will not be able to see that, because exception is not occurred, right? Then after you can say as, that is if exception is not there, then print PK. So PK we are able to see as the output. Then we are having the finally. So irrespective of whether the exception has occurred or not, finally code would be executed. So after that we are able to see is AK, right? Let us see the program, that is arithmetic error. What is that? It is exception in Python. Okay. Now, set try 5 by 0. 5 by 0 is going to give us the zero division error, isn't it? Then except, that is the general exception I have returned. Print something bad happened. Then I'm having except zero division error, then action for that, then except arithmetic error, and then action for that, right? Now, if I have written it this way and try to run it, has given me error, syntax error. Default except must be last. What does that mean? If we are having any particular type of exception, that is zero division error or arithmetic error or any such exception, we know that these are the subclasses of our class, that is exception, right? That means if I'm trying to deal with the exception first, that means the general exception, then all the exception will be dealt with over there only. Then there is no meaning of handling or dealing with specific exception. If you want to deal with them, then you will have to write them before the general exception. Okay. So let us say that specific first and then after general. So we modify the above program and we are able to see it as, say this is try inside that 5 by 0, then zero division error first, then arithmetic error is second, and then after except is that, right? Then after except is that. Now, we are changing the sequence of the exceptions we have handled. General must be at last, that is that. But for the zero division and arithmetic error, if we change their sequence, will it be fine? Let me check it out. Bad arithmetic it has said, right? Bad arithmetic it has said. So it has handled the error, or you can say exception, that is arithmetic error. Okay. If we do not have this, let me just remove this. What will happen? Let me run this. Now it is division by 0. What is this? See, the thing is, arithmetic error comes first. That is being dealt with first. And so it comes that. If I do not have that, then zero division error also gives us error, right? So whichever comes first, that will be dealt with first. Now we want to try for the IO error. Okay, we want to try for the IO error. Let us check it out. Pi by 0. Is it going to create the IO error? Obviously not, right? Because no IO we are doing, but still I am adding IO error in this. So what I have done, try, then after the code which can generate the exception. That's what I have written. Now accept IO error. Then after accept arithmetic error. Then after accept zero division error. And then after the general accept, that is the exception. Fine. This is what I am having. Now if I run this, and 2, it has created or generated the exception, that is bad arithmetic error. Why it is so? First of all, I am having IO error, then 2 it is going to arithmetic error. I have shown you the example where this arithmetic error, if not there, then you can say the next one, that is zero division error, will be there. So is it like whatever we have written first, that will be there as the exception? That exception is only dealt with? No, it is not so. IO error has nothing to do with this 5 by 0. So it is not dealing with the code which is there inside this except IO error. Fine? But arithmetic error and zero division error both can occur for this, that is 5 by 0, right? But if the sequence is there, then you can say that this will be first called, then after any other can be done, right? IURL has nothing to do with this code, so that will not be called irrespective of its sequence. Okay. Let us see further. Let us see the assert example. What do we mean by assert? Assert. For assert, if the condition returns false, then assertion error is raised. Otherwise, nothing happens. If suppose assert x is equal to goodbye, then what we can say is, if the condition is false, that means x is equal to goodbye is false, then only it will generate the exception, that is assertion error, and so it will deal with the code which is written here. Otherwise no issue. So let us see this example and we can have the idea. X is equal to hello, right? The value of x is hello. Now try assert x. Assert x is equal to hello. So that means we are trying to check whether x is having the value as hello or not, and we can say that we are doing that with assert. So what happens? For assert, as we know that if condition returns false, then condition returns true, then nothing happens. But if it is false, then it generates the exception, that is the assertion error. So here x is equal to hello. Is it so? Yes. The value of x is hello only. So when we are checking with assert x is equal to hello, then the value is satisfied. So this if condition returns true. And so the exception will not be there. And you can say it will go to else and will print okay hello, right? It will print okay hello. Now for the same code, what I am doing is checking for assert x is equal to goodbye. Value of x is actually hello, but what I am trying is I am trying to check whether x is goodbye or not. So what we do is, goodbye, is it that? No. So condition returns false. And so you can say that assert error will be that is assertion error. So assert error, goodbye will be printed, and else print goodbye. No, that will not be there, right? So when we run this, we got the output that is okay is where, okay, hello is here. Assertion error is there, and that is why it gives us the okay hello. After that, we can see it gives us the assert error goodbye, right? Now, say we want to join a list, right? We want to join a list. Let us say that s is equal to import, enter a string, right? So whatever is there in the string, we are having it in the list. And then after, what we want is n is equal to len of list. Okay. Now what do we want is, for odd, we can say that we want to join that with and store it in the L port, and for even we want to join it with the nothing in the starting. That means you can say that we want to join with whatever things are available in the list, right? So what we do is the output for this. I'm giving it as say Amit, Tushar Khan, C. Where has it gone? Yeah. See, okay, so right now what it is doing, that is, you can say output is L even and L odd, right? Even and odd we want to have. For that we have written the slicing. Okay. Now, what is len of this list? Uh, oh, we haven't printed. Let me print it so you can have the idea. Right? Print len. And I want to print the list also. Okay. Let me print s, that is the first string. Then after, let me say that what we are having is list. Okay. That is being created from our string. Okay. Say Amit, Shah Khan. What is the case? That for our string we are having it as the whole Amit, Tushar Khan, Choksi, but what? For this list, what is it that, what is that? What is that for that list? Whatever is there in this particular string, that is converted to characters, and you can say that we are there in the list, right? What we have done was, we have created list from this particular string, right? Then we are printing the length of it, right? Then we are printing that. After that, what we are doing is, whatever is there in the list, that with that we join and have one list that is an odd and an even. So what we got with that is even and odd strings, right? Even and odd strings, or even and odd elements of our list, right? So exception hierarchy we can say, wherein you can say base exception is at the top, then after say system exit, keyboard interrupt, generator exit, exception, stop iteration, stop sync iteration, arithmetic error. In that the subclasses, the floating point error, overflow error, zero division error, then above the arithmetic error, we can say, I mean, sorry, below the arithmetic error, we are having SSN error, attribute error, buffer error, EOF error, import error, right? This way the error hierarchy is done. Okay? So that's all for today.